Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Check the Pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you Nebraska Spine Hospital. I hope everyone's having a glorious summer. Today I'm joined by a special guest, a former Husker tight end, a three-time national champion and team captain in his day as well, Mr. Vershan Jackson. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Big Carriker, and yourself, sir?
Hey, man, I'm glorious. It's beautiful. It's sunny. We can actually go outside and enjoy life now as compared to a year ago, so I can't complain.
Yeah, give me that intro one more time.
Oh, you like the intro?
I like the intro, dog. The intro is amazing, man.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Give me the intro one more time.
Yeah, former Husker tight end, three-time national champion, and team captain, Mr. Vershan Jackson.
No, not that intro. That's the old has-been old Husker. I'm talking about the Carriker Live, right? When you go Carriker Live, when you
the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show.
The Carriker Chronicles.
I appreciate you joining me, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing excellent, man. I can't complain at all. All is well in Omaha.
Well, that's good. That's good. I want to dive right into it. Obviously, we chatted yesterday. You're like, hey, man, what's this going to be about? Husker football. So I want to dive right into it. And I know you're around the football program. In fact, I watched your Facebook. You did a Facebook Live walking around the stadium, the facility, talking to coaches. So talk to me about what your thoughts in general are about the state of Husker football right now.
The state of Husker football is we're in critical. I mean, to be quite frank, we're in critical condition. We need a blood transfusion. We need a couple of operations, and somehow, some way, this year we need to stun Oklahoma. I mean that's just how I look at it. I look at it like we are at the. It's either I think we got to get it done, you know what I mean, and show some improvement. You know what I mean? Or it's going to be – I watched the deal on Coach Osborne, right?
Yeah.
And he was – I don't know. I think Scott might have put that out there on Twitter or whatever the case may be. But it was just amazing to hear just the stats. Coach Osborne used to say to us all the time, like after the games, after we won the national championship, the last one, he was like, you guys don't know what you've done, but in 20, 30 years, you'll know. And so, it's tough to compare these guys to us. But I just think that we're headed in the right direction. It looked a little. I will say, I was disappointed at the fact that we didn't hit in the spring game. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that. I know players are going to go down all the time, but that's how you figure out who's the cream of the crop.
Yep.
And I was a little bit disturbed on, but I thought that we flew around a little bit better than we have in past years. There was more team camaraderie than it was in past years. And, hopefully bringing in a couple different coaches, a couple different, personalities, the boys will react to it and play for them.
Now, as a former Husker native, all right, and someone who signed and played at Nebraska, a guy who grew up in Nebraska, do you think the Huskers have an issue with too many in-state recruits going elsewhere, or has that been blown a little bit out of proportion?
No, that's been that way since Callahan was here. And I don't know why the trend. I know we got to walk on, but when I came here in 1993, you talked about a story. Let me give you one.
Yeah.
So my senior year in high school, I was going to Iowa. Iowa recruited me big time. I was going to Iowa, Hayden Fry.
Yeah.
And when Coach Frost went to Stanford, always tell them thank you because that opened up a scholarship that they gave to me.
Ah,
they were holding that.
Okay.
Yeah, they were holding that scholarship back. So in the class that I came in with, I bet you we had 10 to 12 Huskers or native Nebraskans that went to Nebraska on a scholarship.
Yeah.
Coach Osborne had an amazing way of making sure that he still says it to this day. I don't know why they're going away from it. You got to get the best talent from the state first.
Yeah.
Here's why. If I'm from Nebraska and a person's from California, not to take a shot on, because we've had great players from California and all over the place, but Nebraska kids are going to fight you a little bit harder in Nebraska because we're from Nebraska. We understand it. We know, we've been around a long time about it. Home court advantage, man, it makes you fight. You should fight harder because you're at home.
For sure.
And so I think it's a problem. I think that we need to address that problem, because I think if we can keep the kids in state, that will give us a boost in talent. And those kids that'll go to Nebraska, that's from the state of Nebraska, guess what they won't do? Enter the transfer portal.
Yeah.
They won't do it.
I agree
because they understand they got to work hard.
I agree with you, and I disagree with you. So here's where I disagree with you. I don't think they're going to fight a little bit harder. I think they're going to fight a lot harder. Okay.
I agree.
So that I would completely agree on we got to get as many kids here as we can. That's interesting, because back to your story. You were going to go to Iowa. Frost goes to Stanford. You end up at Nebraska because of the extra scholarship. Man, there's always a silver lining. I tell that to my kids always the time. There's always, all the time, there's always a silver lining. Silver lining to Frost going to Stanford, we got Vershan Jackson. See, it worked out.
Yep.
All right, next question. Because you brought up the transfer portal. All right, what are your thoughts in general on the transfer portal? And, at one point, and this is back in December, I have not checked the numbers since. I haven't felt the need to, but at one point we had more kids who had transferred from Nebraska than any other school in the Big Ten. I don't think we're there anymore, but talk to me about the transfer portal in general and the kids who have left Nebraska.
Well, the transfer portal in general, it's a tough situation, because this is unprecedented with the coronavirus stuff going on. That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So on one end, I'm saying, okay, I hate it. But then on the other end, I say, what about kids who, I don't know about you, but during the coronavirus, most kids would have wanted to go back home.
Yeah.
Me personally, I get that, right?
Yeah.
But let me back up. Let me just talk about the transfer portal at Nebraska first. Let me just get this off my chest. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. There's because I'm going vague, and I don't think we want to talk vague. I want to talk real specific.
Okay.
Okay. When you play for a coach, okay, you played at Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
When you play for a coach, 9 times out of 10, you're going to give that coach everything you got and then some.
Mm-hmm.
The problem lies is, why would a player who has been in your system for 1 or 2 years transfer that you recruited? You got to think about this. You made this big stink about this guy who you recruited, who in turn left because he was unhappy for something.
Yeah.
Whatever reason that is.
Yep.
To me, if I make a commitment and I say I almost transferred to Nebraska. You know who talked me off the ledge? Cluster Johnson. One of the older brothers said, hey, you don't want to start quitting now. Yeah. You don't want to be a quitter. So my question is, where are those older players saying to these younger players, that's when the grumbling starts, what are they saying to them? Because something's not right when we've got all these guys, we're getting our hands in. So why would someone who has a potential to play leave? I mean, I guess that's a question for you. Why are they leaving? Why would they leave? It ain't because the grass is greener on the other side. I can tell you that right now. It's something deeper than that, I think, and that's a coaching thing. I think, I didn't leave the University of Nebraska because I wanted to work hard. I got my head kicked in on scout team for 2 years. And you get beat up on scout team with those real black shirts, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you get your head kicked in for 2 years, you're going to feel vested.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't going to want to leave. You're going to want to play. So I think it's a cultural deal. It's a 2020 kid mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's something, Wandale Robinson leaving the program was one of the hardest pills for me to swallow. That's kind of why I got off of Facebook, because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how to explain it. You answer me this question, Carriker. You played in major college football. You're the star. What would make you leave?
So, I mean, what he said was it was about his mom was sick. He wanted to go back closer to home. That's what he said publicly.
You don't believe that, do you? You don't believe that, do you?
I mean, I do not know for 100% sure. If you're asking for my kind of uninformed opinion, because I don't know for sure, I do not entirely believe it. but I do not know for sure. I agree with you. I think it's a cultural thing just in society in general. Okay, things have changed. The way people look at things change. I think the transfer portal makes it 1 billion times easier. Okay,
Sure.
so I think that makes it easier. And there has to be, and I'm referencing December because it's the last time I looked at these numbers. In December, when we were number one in the Big Ten in transfers, and Northwestern has had transfers since then. I just don't know the numbers. They had 5. Okay, and I think we had 39 at that point in time. So there has to be some sort of a connection to the program itself as well, to a certain degree. So.
Right. Well, here, and let me tell you this, too. As a dad, I'm a dad now. You're a dad. We got kids that come up and play football, right?
Yep.
Now, if I'm Wando's dad and I'm looking at the better interest of my son, I don't remember the game, but I know that when your smallest guy is your toughest guy and you got him in the Big Ten with no fullback, no tight end, no H-back, and you line them up on the goal line and it's first and goal from the 3, and you run 3 straight dive plays with no fullback, I can tell you right now, me as a dad, I'm coming unglued if I play football before.
So
because you're not putting him in a position to be successful. He's going to his career. He's going to get beat up. Of Wando, how come Nebraska was known as running back U? Remember that?
Yep, I do.
Why is it that at this point of the game now? I like Agent Zero, but you got to explain why we don't have a freaking running back.
So one thing I heard
that can run 30 times a game. That's a running back.
So one thing I heard, and again, this is I heard it from a couple different people, but it's not been confirmed or anything. But one thing I heard was that he wanted to play a position that would get him more ready for the NFL, and he's not an NFL running back. And so one of the things you're bringing up may have actually played into that decision as well. I do have another question for you because it goes back to what you said very early on in this interview. You're talking about this season, this being a big season, and so on and so forth. Do you think this is the year they at least get the ball rolling in the right direction and Husker fans start to feel good about the direction of the program?
Carriker, you pigeonholing me right now.
How about this? You don't have to answer it because I've never given my answer to that question.
No.
All right, go ahead then.
Hey, no, sir. You talking to a 3-time champ? I only lost 3 games in my career at Nebraska. So I'm going to answer the question.
Okay.
I want you to rephrase that one more time. Answer me that one more time.
How about this? How do you think Husker fans are going to feel at the end of this football season about the direction of the football program?
If we somehow, some way, find a way to win 6 games, I think Husker fans will be drinking not just the Kool-Aid but the water. Okay.
Yeah.
But if we bumble, get the smoke kicked out of us by Oklahoma, it's going to be a long season, and I think you're going to really start to hear the grumblings from Husker Nation like you've never heard it before, like the Callahan years. Yeah. And maybe not. Maybe they give Coach Frost a little bit more leeway time because he's got a big job he had to do. He's got to change the culture. I get that. Mm-hmm. But changing the culture when you played at Nebraska at a time like we played at Nebraska, when we talked about being physical, we talked about being physical.
Yeah.
And if you don't teach your players and your guys how to play physical style of football, if the line up front does not get their weight down and be able to block, it starts in the trenches. And so I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a 50-50, flip a coin. You're going to have 50% of the fan base are going to hate what's going on, and there's going to be another 50 that says, give him 3 more years. Give him his contract. Let him finish. I'm gonna tell you from a fan and a former player, we've got to do it this year. We cannot stumble. We cannot afford to. If Martinez struggles, I don't know if you can afford to keep him in the game. On him.
I got one last question for you. We got about 15 seconds. All right. Do they get to 6 wins or not? Now I am putting you in a pigeonhole. What do you got? Yes or no?
I'm not. Flip a coin.
You dodged it. Come on, three-time champ. Yes or no?
Flip a coin, man. Listen. The guy in me, the football player in me, the guy that understands football from a organic standpoint tells me to tell you no. The Husker in me says yes, we win 6 games. We somehow, some way, because they're talking about us getting the smoke beat out of us against Oklahoma, we might shock them. I don't know.
We'll see what happens. Hey, man, we got to get out of here. I want to thank you for your time and thank you for joining me, my man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Carriker.
Right,
keep doing what you're doing, big fella.
I appreciate it, man. Until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. Throw the bone.
Thanks again to our sponsor, Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's your spine, you do not want to mess around, and experience matters. That's why you can trust the experts at Nebraska Spine Hospital, the region's only spine-specific hospital. They are the best at what they do.